Hello everyone, it's Ashwin Rao, and in today's video I wanted to weigh in on the growing story in the heritage boot world about Truman Boots and the potential forthcoming end of Truman as we know it. Truman Boots has been around, established Goodyear welted heritage footwear manufacturer, modeled somewhat after the Pacific Northwest line of boots. It often is clumped into the Pacific Northwest family of bootmakers, but has heralded itself as an American-made, American-sourced footwear company that really has made a name for itself, featuring really unique leathers, such as Rambler leathers and other similar leathers, largely from C.F. Stead, as well as a number of other tanneries. Now, their founder, Vince, is quite active on Instagram, and unlike many other Instagram contributors, Vince is rather blunt, rather prolific, and rather unfiltered in his comments. And so as I have read through his comments, that's sort of what struck me. If you look at a comparing brand, such as, say, a White's, Nick's, Wesco, or even Thursday Boots, which we're going to get to in a moment, you're going to see a much more controlled and filtered version of their brand identity. And so I think some of the controversy comes from the fact that you have Vince, the founder and spokesperson for Truman Boots, which is actually a relatively small company, speaking kind of unfiltered. And a post from mid-November of 2024 suggested that they were going to start to phase out their lifestyle and other boots. And then in subsequent posts, he started to make mention of final runs of Rambler leather. He would post reviews, such as this one, of people complaining about the quality they were receiving of boots and being frustrated about the quality of Rambler leather. If you read through and filter through the emotions that are clearly present in Vince's posts, what I see is a person who's struggling to identify successful or potentially growth aspect of his brand in this current market. And so when you're founding a brand, you want to establish a market and have that market, at least to yourself, that would be ideal, but certainly to have a substantial market share in that market. Well, what happened in October and November that may have rocked the boat for Truman Boots? And I said, you know what? Thursday Boots. Thursday, in my opinion, might be the brand that ultimately kills off Truman Boots. Now that is my clickbait comment here. Thursday Boots, that has a much larger audience, market share, and hold on the entry point of welted footwear in the heritage lifestyle segment. It's a segment that Truman Boots has largely existed in. People who are interested in a wide range of leathers, who are enjoying boots that are well crafted, well made, but maybe not quite appropriate for hardcore workplace utilization, such as the Pacific Northwest makers. It's not to say that Truman is not sufficient. I have worn Truman boots. I've had a couple pairs in my journey through footwear, and I will say they are extremely well-built, rugged boots, often come with robust welts, including storm welts that make them nearly water resistant. The leathers are fantastic. I actually think that Truman boots are a really great value for what you get. But back in October of 2024, Thursday Boots announced the Challenger model, which is a stitch down boot. This is a largely handcrafted boot, and Thursday Boots has suddenly created a boot that, if you didn't know any better, would look like it heralded from the Pacific Northwest. The price point for these Thursday Challenger boots starts at $289, and that's using Thursday's proprietary leathers, including their Grand Canyon leather. And then you can step up and get boots with leathers, including shell cordovan models, or even the Whiskey Predator models from Horween, or interestingly, the Stone Rambler model from the same company that is now kind of encroaching upon the model that Truman has largely owned. So Stone Rambler, as you know, is a C.F. Stead leather, has a fleshy outside with a lot of veining, kind of rough looking, kind of really rugged looking leather that's full grain. It's a boot that in some ways has made the identity of Truman Boots. And here we have Thursday, a much larger and emerging brand that really owns the introductory segment, suddenly creeping into the price point that approaches Truman Boots using one of their leathers, and their black label line of the Challenger boot now costs $359, still substantially at a lower price than Truman Boots, yet offering a Vibram lug commando sole, hand-done, stitched-down construction, and interestingly, all leather componentry. Here's Thursday Boots showcasing their Challenger boot in essentially an all leather construction. Full grain leather components, including a heel stiffener, toe stiffener, and footbed, midsoles, insoles, you name it, the whole thing's leather. Even the shank is leather, and they're offering these models at a starting point of $289. Now that's $200 to $300 less than the cheapest Thursday boot model, and arguably a boot that requires more attention, more work to assemble. So here we are in November, and Vince starts complaining, raising concerns, trying to figure out what his brand is actually going to be, because he sees Thursday Boots encroaching upon his market segment, and it may not exist anymore. It may be owned by Thursday Boots. All of those black label models are now on a wait list. The only version of the Challenger you can get is out of their black label line using their Grand Canyon leather at $289, and even those are in limited quantities and limited sizes. So clearly the Challenger boot has hit a nerve in the heritage entry point footwear community. Thursday is aiming to hit a home run. Truman is aiming to not be tagged out at home, and Vince is freaking out. I will say that I feel that Truman is now threatened by Thursday, and Thursday has the potential to kill off Truman Boots. How do you feel about that? Small US-based American maker, large US-based manufacturer, economies of scale. Now Thursday Boots is largely funded probably by other resources to be able to create such a fast emerging rapid market share. It's sort of a common theme here, is you have larger enterprises being able to afford and offer cheaper, highly built material quality footwear, and yet you have a decision to make as to whether you expect a little less to get something that might be made by a smaller team. And I'm not sure how many people will ultimately fall to one side or the other. I think Thursday does a really good job of marketing themselves as ethically sourced, ethically made footwear. And now when they have a footwear option that really rivals the Pacific Northwest makers, it's getting dicey for Truman. I certainly hope that Thursday continues to have success, and I certainly hope that Truman continues to have success. I think that the identity of the footwear market in this heritage segment would not be the same without Truman Boots, and I certainly hope that they find success in whichever market they decide to explore. Thursday has a much larger profile. They're getting into jackets, they're getting into men's and women's footwear, they're getting into all kinds of heritage lifestyle clothing. So they're a different type of brand. But if you look at the boot individually, you see a boot that really hits and plucks on the heartstrings of heritage footwear enthusiasts, just like Truman did a few years ago, now featuring the same leathers with arguably higher levels of craftsmanship. If I were Truman, yeah, I'd be nervous. And I'm going to end it there. Take care and have a good day. Bye-bye.